Cambridge upset the odds by coming from behind to beat favourites Oxford and win the 156th boat race in style. Oxford were on the favoured Surrey side and made a strong start and looked set to make it 3 wins in a row. But Cambridge stayed in contention and made their decisive move after Hammersmith Bridge, going on to win by 1.5 lengths.
I thought coming into Hammersmith Bridge, there's potential for them to really push on the inside of the bend, and we held them. And they were expecting to end our race there, and we held them, and we held them again, and we held them again, and we kept moving, we kept holding. And I think that's where it turned on that middle bend.
Well, I mean, I think we were pretty confident the turning point was coming. So we never felt like we were out of momentum. We were sitting down, but we were trying to stay pretty patient. And as we got closer to the finish line, it sort of builds in your mind that any cards that they had to play, they'd played, and the rest was all ours.
It hasn't really sunk in. It's a wonderful feeling of happiness and relief, and it's all over, and it's a happy feeling, after it's been so difficult this season and so many selection worries, and it wasn't feeling good 2 weeks ago. We changed it all up about a month ago. Deglan changed back to bow side. It was we don't look about odds too much, but 4-1 off. I mean, why were we so bad, But we won, so it doesn't matter at all.
The result means Cambridge lead Oxford in the overall rankings by 80 wins to 75, with 1 dead heat. Pain at the pumps. Britain's motorists are feeling the post-budget pinch with a 1p increase on fuel duty. And drivers at this petrol station in central London are frustrated at the cost of filling their tanks.
When I first came to this country, it was about 60p a litre, and that was about 7-6 years ago. 60p, look at it now, 118, so it's unbearable.
Well, my car to fill up is over 50 quid now, and it was much better when it was below 50 quid, obviously. So yeah, no, I'm pretty angry because they're not paying that much in America and they're not paying that much in Europe. So yeah, it does put you off driving.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? Because everyone has to drive to work. I'm a builder, so I have to take my stuff in my van, my tools. So what do? You have to pay the prices, do you? Otherwise, what do you do? Get London Transport? Don't think so, because I can't carry my tools on the train or materials on the train.
Motorists will be hit by further duty rises in October and January next year. The Tories are keen to give Labour the boot, launching their new poster campaign the day before Gordon Brown is expected to call an election. Shadow Chancellor George Osborne says Labour's planned national insurance hike will be a tax on jobs.
Cutting wasteful government spending is not going to endanger the recovery, but putting up national insurance in the way that Labour propose will. And that's the real choice now, as Gordon Brown is finally forced to call this election. Either you've got Labour plans which will stamp out the green shoots, kill the recovery, or the Conservatives who will start taking action on the deficit in the coming year and avoid Labour's jobs tax and get Britain working.
The Conservatives say Labour has had more than a decade to avoid a national insurance rise and should have cut wasteful government spending.
Labour have had 13 years and government has become more wasteful and productivity in our public services has fallen. But second, if Alistair Darling is really saying, look, there is waste out there, then why isn't he dealing with it? I mean, why is he not dealing with it this year in 2010? And that is the extraordinary argument he tried to make of the budget, and it's fallen apart.
Whatever the poster or gimmick, the clear message is that national insurance and government efficiency will be at the heart of this election campaign. The UK has avoided a double-dip recession. A survey by the British Chamber of Commerce reveals signs of recovery for the first quarter of 2010. But economic experts say serious risks of setbacks are still a possibility.
I think there's very little doubt that the improvement in manufacturing output and industrial production has taken place. But we need to remember that that is from a very, very small base. We got trashed in 2009 and the economy almost fell off the precipice.
So is a double dip on the cards for UK this year?
We've avoided it so far, but I have very, very grave doubts that we will avoid one come the second half of 2010. Unfortunately, we've got diametrically opposed views on what should happen to our gargantuan public debt and our borrowing requirement, which at £160 billion is just ridiculous.
Businesses are calling for government to bolster exports and manufacturers to move the UK away from an over-reliance on debt.
All political parties are being totally economical with the truth, because it's a vote loser. But you and I both know that if you've got to cut public expenditure by half, i.e. £80 billion in the next 5 years, the number of people who are not productive to the economy, cuts got to be made. What does that mean? Well, I can't see less than 200,000 jobs being lost in the public sector in the course of the next 3 years. But all I can say to people is that if they don't deal or don't allow the leadership and their government to deal with a crisis of debt that we have, is that we will see unemployment head towards 3 or 4 million.
It seems inevitable that whichever party comes to power will have some economic truths to tell. The new Time Lord has arrived, and the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, has been turned into one of the most realistic action figures to date.
Because he's a new Doctor, we want to really get across everything that his character is going to be. The Doctor's always the key figure in the line, and that's what all the children and collectors want to get, is the new Doctor. So it was very important that he was involved from our point of view. He was there on the day that we scanned him. He then was shown as the sculpt of his head with the costume, the whole figure of the Doctor.
Pioneering 3D digital technology has been used to capture every detail of the new Doctor.
Well, this is our system. It's an Artex scanner built in Russia, and this is the only one in the UK at the moment. It's a very good system, very nice and portable and lightweight, which means that we can get in and get all the detail that we need for the subjects that we're scanning. In the case of the new Doctor Who figure, the body and the hands were all hand sculpted. So after the physical output of the head, we sculpted the body before moving on to the other stages of moulding and then sending off for approval.
Here's the final product that's hitting the shelves. But what do the fans think?
The figure looks really realistic when he's in battle, and the rip shirt really looks real.
On sale for just under £9 means you could take on the Daleks with your very own Doctor. The annual derby between Oxford and Cambridge is days away, and Cambridge are eager to reclaim the title this year. With 3 oarsmen returning to the Cambridge boat from the 2009 race, the team has experience on its side, but want to remain level-headed about the competition.
It's just a race at the end of the day. We race the whole time, like we race at Ely and Cambridge, or come down here and do fixtures or do other races. Like, it's no different. We're going to row exactly the same way. It's just the stakes are higher, and there's loads of people around.
The Oxford boat is planning for a hat-trick of wins and wants to close the gap on the overall series, which currently scores Cambridge with 79 wins to Oxford's 75. Twins Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss are the first known multi-millionaires to row in the event, but there's no airs and graces as both crews are predicting a close race.
It's a two-boat race, and I think that there shouldn't be too much between the crews. I think all signs point to a good race. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's 50-50. You know, there's 2 boats out there, and the crew that does a little bit better on that day will prevail.
The race will start at Putney Bridge at 4:30 on Saturday. Michael Jackson fans gathered outside the criminal justice courts in Los Angeles, demanding justice over the singer's death.
Dr. Murray, I'd like you to...
Dr. Conrad Murray is on trial for the alleged manslaughter of the late pop star. Michael Jackson was found to have died from acute intoxication from taking sedatives prescribed by his doctor. Jackson's family attended the hearing and were met with support from fans.
I'm here for Michael. Justice needs to be done. It's not being done. The charges are absolutely ridiculous so far. And like all these wonderful fans here, I'm here to support Michael and demand justice.
Well, there's people from everywhere here. There's France, Netherlands, Germany, Philippines. It's just, we're coming from all over the world. We love Michael.
Murray has pleaded not guilty. He could face up to 4 years in prison if convicted. A judge was assigned to Murray's case, and proceedings have been adjourned until June. So fans will have to wait, but they're determined to keep fighting for their idol.